For people who are starting out in their own business in their late teens, early 20s, they don't have the funds to do that.
True.
So how would you suggest they start a business?
Well,
and sustain it?
Yeah, okay. Well, that's a good question. The first point is, I would say, don't throw yourself in the deep end unless you have to. I started coaching in 1999. I started coaching, business coaching, at a time when if I walked into a group of people and said I'm a business coach, people were interested. Now, if I walk into a group of people and say I'm a business coach, they will run away. It's a different industry now. It's different. When I was starting out as coaching, and it still happens to this day, if I talk with somebody and the first thing they say to me is, Robert, I need to get some help from you. I've just quit my job and I'm just about to start a small business. I often will say, I wish I'd talked to you a month ago. Because I would say, don't quit your job. In a lot of businesses, don't throw yourself in the deep end unless you have to. If you haven't got reserve, then at least try and keep something that will keep the wolf from the door and that will keep food on the table. Because if you put yourself into a position where you start your business and you have no revenue and you're banking on your business instantly giving you revenue, then in most cases, I'm sorry, but you're going to be a bit disappointed. We often talk to our friends and our family, and our friends and our family are very good at either saying, what a brilliant idea, that's going to go so well, or they will say the opposite and go, don't do that, stay where you are, stay in your proper job. But in most cases, they will tell us, what a great idea, it's going to go crazy, you're going to be so successful. They know nothing. Friends and family know nothing. Don't listen to them. They're not reliable. I mean, it's nice, but it's not true. If you're going to start a business, for goodness sake, sure, talk to your friends and family, they make you feel good. But more importantly, go and talk to the people who you think are going to buy your product or service. And talk to a lot of them. And even if it means standing outside a railway station with a notepad, just talk to them, stop them, talk to them, listen to them. And there you'll get some indication of whether what you're onto is going to work or not. In my sort of experience of speaking to people, it takes a lot longer for revenues to start flowing than people think it is. A lot of people think, oh, all I need is my website, and then by the end of the first month, I'll be selling X many products or services after a couple of months. It hardly ever works like that. You've got to assume that it's going to take 2 or 3 times longer than you think for revenues to start in most businesses. So what I say to them is, if your business is your future, then treat it with some real respect and be serious about it. But also don't worry if you need to do some other work alongside it. I was speaking to a woman a couple of weeks ago, and she was really struggling with an online shop, beautiful online shop, selling gorgeous interior design product, but nothing was happening. I said to her, well, look, whilst you're waiting for things to build, why don't you, or could you be doing anything else that would give you some kind of revenue? Could you work in an a physical interior design shop? Is there anything else you could be doing? And unfortunately, she just wouldn't have a bar of that conversation. She wouldn't let that thought into her mind because she decided this is going to be my business. And it's very laudable to be that committed to a business. But if you're worried about where your next little bit of revenue is coming from, it's going to be written all over your face. It's very hard to attract business if you have a bit of a sense of kind of desperation about you. We've probably, you've probably met people like that. I've met people like that. It's not good. It's not a good look. Don't do it. So don't put yourself in that position. Take a part-time job. Do something else. It doesn't matter. It's still something that's just allowing you, when you're working on your business, in your business, to be able to do so and not worry about other things. And I would rather hear from somebody who's working maybe 1 or 2 days a week in their business, but what they're doing is steady and regular and reliable and consistent and strategized. Far better that than doing what I did in my art gallery, which is filling it with ceramics and postcards. It's silly.
You talk a lot about strategy. How would a company, or how would an owner of a company that's first starting it up come up with its strategy?
Anyone starting a business, I think, needs to have a very clear picture of how they, I'm talking about very small businesses, right? That's my main focus. So anybody listening to this, that's the business I'm talking about. I've spent most of my last 20 years working with one-person businesses, people working by themselves. And that's my heartland. So when I speak, that's what I'm speaking to. Now in Australia, over 70% of Australian small businesses are one-person businesses. And those are businesses that don't particularly want to get much bigger. They're lifestyle businesses. And lifestyle business doesn't mean you lie in a hammock with your laptop. The lifestyle business means you work where you want, when you want, with who you want, and you enjoy what you do. It allows you to be the person you want to be, and you can be a pleasant human being, partner, parent, lover, whatever you want, whatever roles you play in your life. That, to my mind, is an ideal business. So how do you strategize? Well, the first thing, you kind of start kind of beyond strategy, I think, which is in this context of a very small business, and just really think about, what do you want this business to look like? For you in your life, how many days do you want to work? How many hours do you want to work? Where do you want your work? How do you want your work surroundings to be? Who do you want to spend your time with? Who do you want to talk to? What sort of conversations do you want to have? What kind of customers do you envisage spending your day talking to, and how will they treat you? How will they behave with you? If we put lots of thought into that, so develop a really, really clear picture of, this is the business I want to build. This is it. I want to work, for the sake of argument, 4 days a week. I want to work with men and women in their 40s to 50s. I want to help them with these issues. I want to be treated like this. I want to feel like this. I want my home to look like this. I want my relationships to feel like this. If we build this as a vision, and I talk about this a lot in my book, if we build this as a really strong picture of the future, that's the starting point. And then you say, right, if that's where I want to go, then wind it back into a plan. How am I going to get there? If I'm going to surround myself with those sort of people, where are those people? What challenges do those people have? How am I going to get the attention? That's where you develop your strategy. But every element of your strategy needs to connect with your vision. Now, what a lot of small businesses do is they start accidentally. Typically, what can happen is either it might be somebody who is retrenched from a corporate job and they're kind of not sure what to do, but somebody says, well, look, if you're not doing anything, Sam, can you just do this for me? Because I know you've got some skills doing. Can you just do this for me? And what can happen in those situations is, a year later, you've kind of got a business, but you didn't do any of the vision or planning aspects. You're just busy. This happens a lot with people in creative businesses, designers and writers and so on. So that's a very typical scenario. Another one is somebody who maybe leaves employment because they have a child and they want to start a little business alongside that. Again, not necessarily accidental, but not terribly considered or strategized or thought through. That's tricky, because a very common kind of situation that I get when I speak to people in coaching conversations, a phrase that I often hear is, how the hell did I end up here? And that's the kind of plea of an accidental business. That's somebody who's got a little way down the track. They're working with the wrong kind of people, doing the wrong kind of work, and they're not enjoying it. And then they try and kind of retrofit a strategy, which is doable, but it's painful. So yeah, the strategy is, firstly, have a picture of, a really clear picture of where you're going, even if there's some gaps in it. There might be gaps, but it's only when you start along the path. I'm using lots of cliches. When you start along the path, the gaps will become clear and they will become filled as well. But you have to have that to start with. And then you wind it right back and you go, okay, if that's where I want to be, how am I going to get there? What are the 3 things I need to do today? What are the 3 things I need to do this week? What do I need to achieve this month that's going to get me in that direction? If you haven't got that picture, then what you're continually doing is kind of knee-jerk responses, because you don't have a kind of a strategy there that's helping you make decisions. So if somebody says, oh, you've got this new functionality on Instagram, you've got to use that, and you go, wow, okay, I'll use that. But is it suitable? Is it right? Does it fit your picture? Does it suit your strategy? If it doesn't, don't do it. But in this day and age, in this space, we have so many bright lights shining at us all day, all day, every day. How do we make the decision on what to do and what not to do? The answer is by following our path. We're only going to follow it if we know what it is.
Has any of your clients or any other business owners that you speak to, have they ever thought of growing their one-man business into sort of a scalable system to generate passive income, which seems to be the trend these days?
Yeah, look, I don't believe there's such thing as passive income. It's not a phrase that I like. I just think it's misleading. It's a bit like financial freedom to me.
Do you believe in financial freedom?
I believe in that. The financial. Yes, I guess I believe in it, but I think some people just drive themselves crazy trying to achieve it, when I just would rather believe in freedom. I just don't need the finance word attached to it. If I look at my situation, the business I was involved in, I sold Flying Solo a few years ago. Am I financially free? I'm not financially free, but I'm free. So I don't want to be financially free. I don't want to never worry about money. I like earning money. It makes me feel good that the services and support that I offer is of value to somebody. I like that. I like exchanging my skills for money. I quite enjoy that. Freedom I like. Financial freedom, passive income, I'm not terribly fussed.
Has anyone ever told you about their bigger picture being,
Oh, of course, yeah. And look, and I don't. The reason I have a bit of an issue with passive income is it takes an emotion out. I don't like passivity in business. Passive implies you're not doing anything. Passive, like I'm passive. That's passive. That's no fun. Where's that good? No one's enjoying that. You're not enjoying looking at someone like that. I'm not enjoying feeling like that. Passive doesn't work for me. The notion that a business has income that's passive, I find is a contradiction, because I think as business owners, we need to create energy and excitement and desire in our customers. And there's nothing passive about that. So sure, I get the idea that when I'm asleep, people buy things, and that's arguably passive income. But if I'm not then the next morning looking at, okay, what did I learn from that? How did that sale go? Did that person spend more time, if I'm looking at my stats on my website, did that person hover over something else and then not buy it? What could I do with my copy or my imagery that might change that? So there's nothing passive about it. If you've got a business that's totally passive, then you're probably selling, nuts and bolts and really dull little things that I'm not interested in. So yeah, that's I balk a bit at the notion of passive, because to my mind, my work life, my whole view of work is it's anything but passive. I don't want to be passive. When I'm another 10 or 20 years, I'm sitting in some old people's home, I'll have a bit of passive income there. But until then, I want to be involved.
So you feel like a very sort of hands-on business person in terms of your coaching, in terms of your own businesses?
In terms of my life, yeah. I like to participate.
Okay.
Yeah, without sounding like a complete plonker. I've just finished reading a really good book. It's called In Praise of Working with Your Hands. And it's basically looks at this whole kind of trend that's been going on for 20 years now, where we're moving away. Our children, our kids, our generations, your generation, are moving away from actually doing much with our hands. We don't repair things, we throw them away. We don't create things, we buy them off the shelf. We don't even create our food now. Some guy with a big silly backpack turns up at the door with it, Creation is disappearing. I don't like that. So I think it's a bad thing. I have a 19-year-old son. I love him dearly. But he's growing up in that age where, why should I go to the kitchen and make lunch when I can just order something on Uber and another 19-year-old cycles up the street with his lunch? I don't like that. I think that's wrong. I don't, it's, we want to get our nails done. We don't do it anymore. We go and sit in a salon and get it done. We don't wash our dog. We take it to a doggy salon. All this stuff is taking something away from us as individuals. So I like to be involved. I just had this with me because this is an old 1960s, 70s camera. And I've becoming mildly obsessed with film cameras again. Not just because I'm an old bloke, but because I like the process. I don't want to take a picture and suddenly look at it and delete it. I want to take a picture. I was taking some pictures outside your studio this morning. I won't see those pictures for weeks. I won't even remember what they were when I got them, probably. I like that. I want to create things. I want to slow things down. Quite recently, on this theme, can I rant for a bit? On this whole kind of theme of slowing things down. I mean, anyone that knows me will probably think I'm slow enough, but I'm slowing even more. Is I've, since kind of exiting my business, selling my business, and I still work with Flying Solo happily, but it's not my business. But since doing that, what I find I'm doing is I'm intentionally slowing things down in my life so that I can savor them and enjoy them more. And that's not because I'm some, multi-squillionaire and I've got all the time in the world. It's not that at all. I just want to enjoy things more. When I hear phrases like, if you're not standing on the edge, you're taking up too much space, I think, oh, for goodness sake. And, if you're not working for, all those sort of stupid, so they just drive me nuts. So I'm intentionally slowing everything down. I do things slowly. To the extent where I recently changed my coffee machine at home, right? So I had a coffee machine that could, not instantly, but could pretty quickly make me a decent coffee. Then I found a coffee machine that probably takes me about 15 minutes to make a cup of coffee, but my God, it's beautiful. And the process, it's like an old tractor. It's like an old Italian thing. And the process of grinding the beans, getting everything right, it takes me about 15 minutes to make coffee in the morning. And I adore that 50. I like that. When I sit down with that coffee, I don't gulp it down. I look at it and I go, you are beautiful. And I really savor it and enjoy it. I enjoy the whole process. And that's what I'm increasingly trying to do. The faster business gets, the faster the world gets, the slower I want things to be. So, I walk a great deal. I travel by train and bus a great deal. Intentionally, I want to slow stuff down. And I find that in business, I find that just hugely valuable and often kind of overlooked. There was some great research recently by one of the universities in California about walking. And it showed that our incidence of idea creation improves by 60% just by having a 20-minute walk. Now just imagine that. You think of all those people over there in those big tall buildings who commute into work and they go up into their cubicle and they sit there all day and they go home again. Where's the idea creation going on there? Where is it? You don't get it when you sit at your monitor, And that's the thing. If I could, I would love to get everybody out, walking around more, doing things more slowly. If you talk to somebody who's going on holiday, got a holiday planned, they're in a flurry to get everything cleared up and put on their autoresponders and get all their work tidied up. And then they go away and they kind of do nothing. What can happen with a lot of those people is the minute they go away on holiday, they fall over ill or they get flu, they get sick because they've been working at such a pace. And then they have this break, and this break is such a contrast to their normal life that when they come back to their normal life, they're recharged, but it's kind of gone within days. And they forget about it, and someone will say a week later, how was your holiday? And you go, oh, I've forgotten all about it. That's not good. This whole thing with balance in life and business, balance isn't something you do on the weekend or 3 times a year. Balance is what we do every day. Balance should exist in our everyday. So I say that again is certainly more so for those poor worker bees in big tall buildings than it is for us in small business. But if in small business, and this kind of goes back to freedom, if we can't design our small businesses to allow us to kind of do what's important to us each day, then to my mind, that's not a great business. So when someone comes to me and they talk about business success, I'm not interested in turnover and cash or any of that stuff. What I'm interested in is, are you enjoying it? Is it helping you be a decent person? Are you a good partner and parent and friend and colleague? Are you living a decent life? If your business allows you to live like that, then yes, you've got a great small business. But I don't care how much money you earn from it. I mean, I don't think that's a measure. Game design is done in such a way as to keep you playing. Start, grow, build and enjoy a very small business, and probably one you run from your home.